Hey. This is Smooth Tim and Larry E, and welcome to another segment of Tim's Tid-Bits. How you doing, Larry?
All right, man. Living, surviving.
That's a good
Looking
thing.
good.
That's a good
Looking
thing.
good while doing it. Looking good while doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all getting healthy back at home?
Yeah, man. I found out I had pneumonia, and it wasn't COVID. It wasn't the flu. It was pneumonia. And if I told you I felt so sick, I was right now at my wheel already. I'm like, all my white friends get my bad credit. Um,
Man, I would have never thought. Did you have a cold? I wonder if it was a cold that turned in. They said you did not have the COVID, right?
Right. Yeah. I took 2 tests, and both of them came back negative. Took the flu test, came back negative. And I'm usually by myself. Unless I'm training somebody, I got a mask on. But Tim, I felt this the worst I felt in my whole life. It was ridiculous. It was terrible. I didn't think I was gonna make it this time, and it wasn't even COVID. What I had ate COVID ass up. COVID didn't have no chance of what I had.
Made COVID look stupid. Made COVID like COVID a punk.
Was like, we can't do no damage here. They had to move on to other people. COVID was like,
there's so much stuff going around. That's why, it's so important. And I mean, we've preached it before on the show, and people, and you don't know. I mean, I understand that the pneumonia is not a airborne pathogen that you're just going to walk around and catch.
Right.
However, there are other things going around, just the regular cold, the regular flu, these various strands of COVID, and they weaken your immune system. So, I mean, mask up, wash your hands, take care of yourself.
Exercise. The key to a strong, healthy immune system is get rid of those endorphins, get rid of that bad energy, exercise.
Hey, man, let's get on to a little bit some of the topics that we were going to talk about tonight. As they can see at the top of the screen, we're going to talk about where's the beef, and that's sometimes, and actually it should be why the beef prices. And I mean, it's unbelievable to me when we go to the store anymore, and I cringe. My wallet starts to scream when I look at meat, any type of meat. It doesn't matter if it's poultry, pork, or beef. You're paying for the nose.
And it's because of a lot of things. For one thing, it's because of COVID. Drivers, it's the price of delivering meat from the drivers that went up. It's a lot. You know how it goes, Tim. A lot of things goes into the rise of prices. It's not just like the greedy corporate guy wants to just raise beef prices. It's because you got to cover your costs.
Yeah, but I mean,
the consumer pays.
I have a question. Okay, you mentioned the corporate guy, and we know that there's 4 major players in the beef game, in the meat distribution game in the United States. But, and I'm going to go back in history just a little bit. One time I was taking a flight out of the DFW out of Dallas, going to L.A. Happened to run into a couple of cattlemen and having conversation with these cattlemen. They were going, and their main bitch, and this was a couple of years ago, was that the meat packers was ripping them off. You know, that they weren't getting any more per pound than they had been getting some time ago. Yet, the meat packers are, passing that along, to the supermarkets. That was years ago.
Right.
You know, and then I found the same thing. Let me take a look, and they'll talk a little bit about inflated meat costs. Let's look at this video. Come right back to this.
Okay.
Mad thanks. Farmers say they're upset over rising beef prices. All the while, we're paying more for beef and other meats at the grocery store. They also say they're not seeing any of that extra money. 5 News reporter Micah Wilson tells us how this is affecting producers and customers.
Across Arkansas and the nation, we are seeing a price hike for beef. It's up 5 to 6% statewide compared to last year, according to Dr. James Mitchell, an extension economist with the U of A.
One of the biggest issues that we've been working on is some of the labor issues, labor availability, quality of labor.
The issue doesn't stem from farmers, but meat processors. It's a supply and demand issue with the processors not being able to fulfill the demand. Mitchell says it's because of the pandemic. And while the meat processors like Tyson, JBS, National Beef, and Cargill are increasing prices at the store, farmers aren't getting any of that cash.
Steaks are bringing anywhere from $12 to $20 a pound. Ground beef is bringing $3 to $7 a pound. When we sell our local beef, we get about $5 a pound, and that's for steaks and ground beef.
Ben Anderson is a fifth-generation rancher in northwest Arkansas. His family has owned cattle since the 1850s and says seeing manufacturing companies get more profits while farmers see none of the benefits is upsetting.
It's just kind of a little disheartening because, you put your blood, sweat, and tears, all your time and money into this, and you're not seeing much growth.
But he sees prices going up for tractors and the cost of feed for cows doubling, while the price for his cattle remain flat.
It's made it very hard, and you have to be more of a money manager to survive.
Economists say farmers won't see an increase in prices for their cattle anytime soon because while people are demanding beef at stores, the meat processors don't have a high demand for beef from farmers because of a lack of manpower.
Really kind of put a ceiling on what cattle prices have been able to do. So we haven't enjoyed the same increase in cattle prices that we've seen at the retail side.
Price increases on the retail side are expected to last until at least 2022. In Johnson, covering news where you live, Micah Wilson, 5 News.
In the Midwest, they're seeing an even higher price on meat, about a 15.5% increase over last year, in fact. The reason Arkansas hasn't seen an increase that high is because we're starting to see an increase in supply on the meat processors' end.
Bam.
Man, that's just how it is. I worked at I've been in retail for a long time, and I worked at a company that actually took the carcass and broke it down themselves. And that's where you save prices on meat when it comes to an individual company.
Yes.
Now, like the small meat markets, like the Cannabis and all stuff like that they have here in Texas, they break down their own meat usually. Now, Walmart's, the bigger stores, those meats are packaged from another company, then brought to the store. So you don't have butchers anymore.
Right.
So no one's butchering your meat and breaking it down and giving you and saving the cost. So that's the problem with the COVID. And it started happening before COVID. Because they started getting rid of butchers per stores. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they can't afford to keep in business.
Yeah. You get rid of your butcher. So what it is, and everything is progressing, everything is evolving. So you just buy the meat from the meat processing company. It's already been processed. So you got to pay that cost. And the costs are always transferred down to the consumer. And that's just how it goes when it comes to business.
I think we have like one butcher shop close to us. And you're right. Mostly it's going to be your big chain box stores. And
but are the price is cheaper at the butcher store?
About the same.
But the same, well, they got to compete with.
They have to compete.
Is it like individually owned or a family owned or whatever?
I'm not sure. It's called House of Meats. They have about half a dozen or more locations in the Toledo area.
You got somebody like Rudy's Meats or Ron's Meats
But the question that I want to propose to you, and we're going to get into this discussion even a little bit down the line. Okay, you've seen a 16% increase in that meat prices for you to go and feed your family. Have you seen that reciprocated in your paycheck?
No, they don't do that. There's no cost of living allocation given to really everyday people. There's not. You don't get that.
Yeah, cola cannot keep up. You know, they think they're giving you a big deal, and they give you a 6%, COLA increase if you are a retiree, a welfare recipient, whatever the case may be, and they think that's a big ass deal.
Hey, Tim, now they're giving like 2 to 3% raises. I'm like, that's across the board to teachers,
That ain't
to
even close.
medical people in the medical field. What are you gonna do with 3% of what you're getting paid? If you do the math, 3% of anything is practically nothing. 2 to 3%. So
Yeah, that's what I look at. It's next to worthless. And then you see that, and I was watching, I don't know if you got to see the speech that was on tonight, and it was funny that we had this topic on slated for the show, and he even discussed a little bit about how the 4 major packers are gouging the industry and taking us, they're just fleecing us.
yeah, and it's business. And the thing about business is that it's business evolves, and the consumer always suffers at the end of the day. And it's always the middle class, not the lower class, not the higher class, the rich people. It's always the ones in the middle that really put in a real work and a real time with their families and jobs. We're the ones that suffer. So it's like a never-ending cycle, man. And people. I'm gonna tell you something. I have a cousin that's a conspiracy theorist. Conspiracy theorist? That's how you say it?
That's close enough.
He told me that a long time ago. He told me that like 10 years ago. He said the price of bread and meat is going to be almost more than a gallon of gas. When you at the gas pump, you like, man, do I need to eat or do I need some gas? Or
there you go. Well, and
more than gas.
Roll right back to what those farmers were talking about, and we have some family that's in the industry, raising pigs, and they have other crop. But I mean, $500,000 to $1 million machines, easily. And, to keep up with that, and, they're losing their hiney. And, what is it going to be? Are we going to get into corporate farming to where they just own, acres and acres and acres of farmland, and you're going to put the small farmers, small cattle raisers, those type, out of business?
They're going to have to do what they got to do to survive. And then if the government really wants to take over, if the corporate offices want to take over, they can. You and I both know they can. Anytime they want to say, hey, we're going to take this, we got it, they can. And all those small people that's producing, doing all the hard work, all they can do is say, okay, because I want to pay my mortgage. I want to make sure my kids got something to eat. I want to be able to drive back and forth to work. So they can, and they will.
You said something a little earlier, and it kind of leads into something you was talking about. Sometimes the cost of the end product that us as a consumer has to get is, directly correlated rather to the workforce.
Right.
And I found an interesting video. I want to play the video, and then come back and tell me, what you think about this actual perspective on is immigration have anything to do with our market shortage?
Ooh.
Welcome back. Data download time and a look into one factor that could be contributing to the worker shortages we've been seeing as we enter 2022. We've talked about how everything from fears of infection to childcare needs to worker burnout have led to what's simply known now as the Great Resignation. There's another factor we might be overlooking, and that's this: fewer immigrants coming into the country looking for work and filling some of these jobs. Look at this. Over the last 6 years, net international migration into the United States, we were at 1 million in 2016. And as you know, immigration got heavily politicized, right, over this 6-year period. And look what it's dribbled down to, 247,000 through mid-year 2021. So what does this mean? Well, foreign-born workers work more often in the service industries than native-born workers. Also in natural resources and construction work. More foreign-born workers work there than native-born. We're already seeing labor shortages in the service industries in here. And you have fewer immigrants looking for these jobs. It adds to the problem. Then you can talk about the cost, right? We've heard plenty of companies say, well, rising wages mean rising costs. Well, native-born Americans do make more money. Foreign-born workers here First generation immigrants, first job, they make less. We can have a longer conversation about that distinction. But the fact of the matter is this: in the United States, this is what has kept our economy growing. If you will, it's been more immigrant labor. And the politicization of immigration has made members of both parties not want to deal with the fact that we're short of workers, and the biggest reason why is a lack of immigration.
Well. Here, wait till this.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel.
What do you
Follow
think of
today's
that?
top
Hang on,
stories
let
and
me-
breaking news by downloading the NBC
Hang on a
News
second, Larry.
app.
I'm sorry. You believe that?
Yes, I believe it. Okay, for one thing, they complain about all the Haitians coming in. Okay, what's up with that? We got some new workers. Okay, I'm gonna stop being that's kind of racist. I'm gonna tell you something, man. At the end of the day, immigrants, whether they've been slaves, whether they have been Germans, whether they have been Jews or Asians or whoever, other than Native Americans have been in this country, have basically kept this economy moving forward and going forward. It's always going to be a need for immigrants, because immigrants are the ones that take these low-paying jobs, and take this abuse in these low-paying jobs and say, okay. And a lot of immigrants don't know about the government subsidies. Okay, now a lot of Native people here, they know that we can get this and get this and get this and get this. So we ain't got to work on this job with these low paid wages and take that. We can work half the time or work no time and still get paid a good, decent amount if you're not a true hard worker. So it's really, it's all about the immigrants.
It is an interesting perspective, and I would have to almost sit there and say that, in Chuck Todd's broadcast, thank you, Chuck, for putting that out there, I seen his point, and I was like, you know what? He actually has a point that I'd like to discuss. I mean, you're right. This nation is built on immigrants.
That's who built the country.
And as you look all over, if I think about down south and I look at construction and even farm workers in the Texas area when we was down there was mostly migrant workers.
Yeah, they're doing the dirty work. The dirty work.
We come up north and we look into our pickle fields, our tomato fields, and things like that. Who's picking that? Migrant workers. And usually it's seasonally. You don't have any real issues with them. So I'm sometimes confused on what's the big deal.
Man, listen, the infrastructure of the country when it comes to like food, that we need food. Let's go with the basic need we need. We before anything, we need food and we need rest. Okay. But we need food. When it comes to harvesting food and doing stuff like that, immigrants play the biggest parts in that.
Big role.
And if we don't have immigrants to do it, then we got a problem. And that's how it works. It's always been like that.
Interesting.
We need them. And that's part by the government.
Well, they built the railroads, right? So, hey, I mean,
when they start doing these campaigns, the Trump campaign, all these legal immigrants this, immigrants that, I'm sitting there listening like, really, are you serious? Are you really the hardest working people in the country or the new people that are in the country? Then when they start learning the laws and the ways of the country, of course they slack off. It's kind of like if you just.
Yeah, once you learn that there's actually some type of various assistance programs out there that can help you, establish yourself here.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a female that's looking for a husband. All right, she'll do everything she got to do, sacrifice a little bit or a lot to get the man. When she get the man, she sit back and chill out. I'm good now. I got me one. You know what I'm saying?
Your wifey is not around, right? She didn't hear that.
Of course she's not. But at the end of the day, when you get to the country and start learning the laws and how it works, you be like, I'm not doing that no more.
Man, no, but I think that's a very objective viewpoint for people to think about. When it comes to this country, when it comes to immigration laws and allowing immigration, and when it comes to these voting rights, and that's a big issue. Again, still, I mean, we live in a democracy. We live in a nation of immigrants. I mean, I have to accept that. My family was immigrants, in the 1800s we came here.
I can't say I was an immigrant, but my last name is Estelle, so I'm not just pure straight African. So I got stuff in me too, of course, when it comes to other ethnicities. But,
Oh, absolutely, we all do. Come on,
yeah.
That's why they call us the melting pot. Let's keep it real.
I love America, man. Love America.
Speaking of loving America, did you see? I gotta play this. This is the greatest shit in the world. Let's get on to this next subject because I am interested in this topic. Hang on a second. Here, where are we at? There it is.
Certain cannabis compounds can stop COVID-19 from entering human cells. That in a report at Study Finds. Researchers from Oregon State University find that a pair of cannabinoid acids in hemp bind to the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein, consequently preventing a critical step in the COVID-19 infection process. More specifically, those two compounds are CBGA and CBDA. The spike protein that those two cannabinoid acids bind to is the very same viral destination COVID-19 vaccines and antibody therapies target. Scientists say these cannabinoid acids are abundant in hemp and in many hemp extracts. A researcher with Oregon State's Global Hemp Innovation Center at the College of Pharmacy and Linus Pauling Institute, Richard Van Bremen says, quote, "They are not controlled substances like THC, the psychoactive ingredient in marijuana, and have a good safety profile in humans. And our research shows the hemp compounds were equally effective against variants of SARS-CoV-2, including variant B117, which was first detected in the United Kingdom, and variant B1351, first detected in South Africa. While Van Bremen concedes that new COVID variants are always possible, he believes a combination of vaccination and CBDA and CBGA treatment should make viral survival much harder for SARS-CoV-2. Find more detail on this and other studies at studyfinds.com.
What do you think of that?
Hold on though. I was feeling it. I was ready to talk some real shit until at the end they said the combination of vaccinations and herb. I'm like, oh man.
That's kind of like wear a mask, wash your hands, smoke weed, and help yourself not get COVID.
Well, I thought it was just weed alone. I was like, I don't smoke weed.
Speaking of that, did you see that guy that was running for senator that lit up that blunt? He was talking about, I'm running for Senate.
I probably would have voted for him.
I think he was from somewhere down south, like Louisiana, one of those. Yeah, it tripped me out. He had a big ass blunt in his mouth, lit it up, and says, "I'm just gonna let everybody know." And I'm for marijuana reform, and I smoke. He was just puffing on a big old blunt.
I will vote for him, and I wish I could smoke weed like everybody else, because weed ain't did nothing to no. Listen, the Indians, the Native Americans with the peace pipe, they had that together because that's what was in that peace pipe. Hemp, herb. That's why everything was peaceful.
Everything was cool. They were laid back.
Until like the Puritans came over.
Took their weed away. Wait a minute. That's what started all that? I had no freaking clue. You're a great historian.
No more weed. You know what? We're working too hard. We need somebody that's going to work harder. We need to get some Africans. Then, because there wasn't no weed, they brought Africans in. The fact that weed wasn't present, it messed up the whole country. I still love America, though. But if weed was still here in peace pipe, we would have been okay. No COVID would have been here, none of that crap.
Wait, is this historical fiction or fact?
I can't smoke weed because I already got, psychologically messes with my mind. So
no, but look at the money to be made by some of these states. It's absolutely amazing how much some of these states are raking in, and that's just in taxes alone.
Weed is the most incredible thing that God created on this earth because there's nothing else that's so natural, that's so soothing. But you got to build a tolerance to it. Other than Tim, name something other than weed that's more incredible than weed. We should need to have a whole show on
gummies.
Marijuana.
Gummies.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but it's
distillants. Weed.
It still has the same
wax.
THC.
I mean, what?
A gummy smoking weed, when she do that, but listen, it has more benefits to it than alcohol, as long as you don't abuse it. But
And the point is there's various strands of cannabis out there that can be specifically targeted for people, even in their medical needs, and as well as you say, it may affect you psychologically. So instead of being angry, now I'll smoke a joint and I'm laid back and I forgot what I was even angry about.
There's too many pros about weed, but at the end of the day, we already know that weed is so potent, it's so potent, it's so powerful, it's so publicized that the government has to, they have to control it. Weed is incredible.
You made a
this coming from a non-weed smoker. I already know how incredible weed is.
You made a comment. You said it messes with your head. What do you mean by that?
Well, you got to understand. I don't have a tolerance, and everyone knows that initially when you smoke weed, every weed is different from any other person. Like one time I smoked weed, my body jumped outside my body and looked at me and was like, "What the hell are you doing?" It got worse. Tim, I decided to smoke weed. Listen, I'm smoking weed with my friend. I only took like 2 or 3 drags off a blunt or whatever it was. And I didn't start smoking weed till I was 25. And we decided to go play basketball. How come I'm on the court playing defense against my own team?
Against yourself. Wait, I stole the ball from my fucking self.
Yeah, and I just actually so and I honestly
this ain't fair.
Yeah, I smoked weed 10 times my whole life, and I've always had a bad experience with it. So I just let it go. But you just need to get into something that has a lower THC value and something that's more along the lines. You may say, I got some muscle aches and I just tired of the aches, and you could go to one of these bud tenders at these outlets and say, this is what I want, and I don't want a high THC value because I don't really feel like passing the fuck out. They'll hook you up. I support weed. It's just that with me being older now, and I developed my own psychological, how can I say, viewpoint of weed when it comes to me smoking it. I just prefer not to. But I support it because of all the benefits it has helped people. And I've never known anybody that has ever went to prison for smoking weed.
No. But let me offshoot a little bit. Now, I do believe that it should be treated the same as alcohol when it comes to at the workplace. I don't think you should be driving a company car and smoking weed. I don't think that you should be operating heavy equipment and smoking weed. There is a line that I draw to say, well, then, you're starting to interfere with the safety of yourself and others and putting that whoever in a liable situation.
You can't abuse it. But you got to understand, though, you can't overwork out. You can't drink too much water. You can't drink too much milk. You can't get too much sleep. You can't abuse any aspect of life. You don't want to overstudy. You can't. Weed is similar to anything aspect in life. You don't want to overdo anything. It's about moderation. It's all about moderation. But at the end of the day, I support weed. I just don't smoke it myself, but I support weed because I haven't seen anything other than people being lazy as hell when they smoke weed when they're not supposed to. Now, when you're done with your day, light one up, do what you got to do.
It'll be interesting to see what they do on a national basis.
I wish I smoked weed. When I get around guys that smoke weed, men and women that smoke weed, it smells so good. I be like, man, I be so jealous. I'm not even a jealous guy, but I get jealous because I know I really can't indulge in the full feel of it because it just smells so good.
There you go. Hey, did you see, and I think it was yesterday, that the CDC and decided that they're going to start passing out the at-home tests. And you can write the covid.gov and get yourself a free test.
I saw that.
Actually, 4 of them. I think, what is it, 4 per household?
Yeah, I was at a Walmart and there was some guys picking up some at-home tests. I don't think that's smart.
Why?
But how do you exactly know how to do it? Are you medically trained to do that? They got to speak to the people that are trained to swap. For example, I got a COVID test. I got a COVID test through a drive-through place. The dude took a swab of my nose for about 3-4 seconds. Okay, came out negative.
Right.
I went to my personal doctor. They took the swab and really swabbed it in my nose for 10 seconds the whole time. And not only did they not swab it, it had some kind of medication on there that can, I guess, absorb some of the whatever's it, I guess, how can I say it? I don't know the medical term, but it absorbs all the not saliva, but all the mucus in your nose.
Right, the mucus, and then that's what the COVID virus attaches itself to.
Yeah, but it was totally two different tests, the way they did it and the way they did it now. If these are trained professionals, how someone at home is going to actually know how to really test themselves?
Well, Larry, you led me right into this shit.
Yeah.
Because I so happen to have downloaded the videos so that we do know.
Yes, sir.
There's a tube, it has a cap, and you're going to put some of the fluid that comes in a little bottle. We fill it up to a very hard to see line. I wash my hands. I lay this little device that looks like this flat. If you don't do the swab right, you can get a test that's falsely negative. It goes in at least half an inch, swish it around on the sides of your nose, and then you take the swab, put it into this little vial, swirl, 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 and then you pinch it. There's a spot here where you can crack the swab. It falls into the tube. Blue cap on, white cap on the bottom off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll notice I'm keeping it very flat, and you can't read the result until all the pink goes away. It takes 15 minutes. This is what a positive test looks like, 2 lines, and this is what a negative result looks like, only 1 line.
And I'm hoping that Larry, E, and Tim answered your question on how to do the home COVID test.
Yeah, it looked like a pregnancy test to me. They just took a goddamn, oh, my bad, excuse me. It made me mad. They done took it, that's the comedian coming out of me. They done took a pregnancy test and converted it into a COVID test, Tim. Really,
you know
bro?
what? And the Queen made the same remark.
Come on.
Nope, exactly the same remark. It looks like a home pregnancy test.
That's a home pregnancy test. I'm like, what's next? You gonna stick one in your butt crack and then just see if...
Well, that's what they're sending you.
She said, keep it flat.
that's keep it flat.
Keep it flat and break it. I'm like, man, listen.
And you're right. I think what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to have a false sense because they're not doing the technique right or taking the test right. I think that there's going to be a lot of error.
Hey, what's even worse, those tests are mass produced. What happens when you mass produce something? You really don't take the time to make it the way it should be made right every time. You look at mass produced COVID tests. No, you don't mass produce tests that can kill you.
How many millions did they say?
I didn't even get into that, but when I started hearing about home tests like that, how many home tests are there that you can take? Really, it's the home pregnancy test and then this test. There's not too many home tests because they don't trust unqualified medical personnel to really take serious tests like that.
I think you even got to take that toilet test or whatever. You got to send that in, right? Cologuard, you shove the stick up your butt and send it in, right?
I'm older now. I have to go to COVID test.
So I mean, you know,
it's better than my doctor doing this. Come here, bend over. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I don't like it when my doctor smiles, and starts to try to fist you.
One time I asked my doctor how it went afterwards. He said, you tightened up. I said, you just stuck your whole fist up my butt.
What did you want me to do? He was looking for a reach around. That's what it was.
Yeah, how you gonna fist me? And then I'm like, I'm Dr. Obvious. Of course I tightened up. I ain't never had a fist. Look, he stuck his fist so far in my butt, I felt him tickling my tonsils.
I said, you didn't even give him a reach around?
I gagged and fought at the same time. I ain't never did that. Come on, bro. You don't. Okay. Okay, we go.
That's crazy as hell. But anyhow, yeah, I think, they're going to be sending out, millions and millions and millions of these tests. So it should be interesting, as I
COVID numbers
yeah.
gonna go up because who's gonna stick when you get a real COVID test? That thing is very irritating. You gotta stick it further up your nose than what she said. I got a big nose.
Mine burned. When they do that and it gets up in your eyes watering like a mother, and you're like, damn, man.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like if you get a chlamydia test, they take the whole swab and they shove it right up your whole, okay, let's move on. Because I don't think you're chlamydia.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that. You could brief us on that some other time. Hey, you know what else? And we talked about this a little earlier. And when it went back to the meat costs and everything else, is this inflation is killing everybody. And even if you're a working Joe, your paycheck isn't keeping up with it. And then the other part of it, it goes to your retirees and your seniors and your individuals that are on welfare and or some other type of possible disability. And they're not keeping up with that. And I ran across a very interesting video. Let me pop that in real quick.
All right.
And that has to do with Medicare Part B costs.
This morning, some difficult news for Medicare patients facing a big rise in premiums. The 14.5% increase is being blamed on the pandemic. So Part B premiums for those in the lowest bracket could actually rise from $148 a month to over $170.
Beneficiaries could see a reduced Medicare Part B premium this year after a company called Biogen announced it would slash the price of its expensive and controversial new Alzheimer's treatment, Aduhelm. What's going on, guys? Josh Baldwin here from Mad Money Millennial, bringing you the latest news and most straightforward information out there for those of you on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, and SNAP or EBT benefits. You can do me a giant favor by tapping those like and subscribe buttons, and let's get into this video where we will discuss some recent proposed policy changes to Medicare Part B premiums this year. In November, Medicare set the monthly Part B premium at $170.10 for this year, a more than 14% increase from 2021. The agency said that the price increase was due in part to Medicare beneficiaries potentially being prescribed Aduhelm, an Alzheimer's treatment manufactured by Biogen that was approved by the Food and Drug Administration last year. Since the drug must be administered by a physician, it is covered under Part B. Now, initially, the drug would have cost $56,000 each year per patient, though Biogen later announced the price would be reduced to $28,200. Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra said on Monday in a press release that he had asked Medicare to reassess the recommendation for the 2022 Medicare Part B premium, given the dramatic price change of the Alzheimer's drug Aduhelm. Now, with the 50% price drop of Aduhelm on January 1st, there is a compelling basis for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services to re-examine the previous recommendation. The Kaiser Family Foundation estimated in June that before the drug's price was cut, that if just a quarter of the 2 million Medicare beneficiaries who were prescribed an Alzheimer's treatment under Part D in 2017 took Aduhelm, it would have cost Medicare $29 billion in just 1 year. And overall, Medicare spent $37 billion on all Part B drugs in 2019. Now, besides the hefty price tag, experts have also raised concerns about the effectiveness and potential side effects of Aduhelm, leading Medicare to complete a national coverage determination to decide whether or not to pay for the treatment. On Tuesday, the agency issued a proposal that it would only cover the treatment for certain patients in clinical trials. Additionally, Medicare would limit coverage to patients who have the protein in their brain that Aduhelm is designed to target, and have mild cognitive impairment or mild dementia. The restrictions outlined in the proposal would likely limit the number of Medicare beneficiaries who can access the drug. The proposal, which is still subject to further change, does not yet have a clear timeline for implementation, but is expected to be finalized later this year. Many seniors depend on Social Security to provide the bulk of their retirement income, and in recent years, those benefits have done a poor job of helping recipients maintain their buying power in the face of inflation. A big reason for this is that the cost of health care, including Medicare, has risen substantially through the years and at a much faster pace than annual Social Security cost of living adjustments. So let's hope these Medicare Part B premium cuts will happen soon, in time for seniors to hopefully enjoy some more money in their pockets this year. Alright guys, I hope you found this information helpful. If you did, please leave a like, comment down below what you think should happen with Medicare, and of course subscribe. Stay safe, stay hustling, and I will talk to you guys again soon.
Well.
It's typical.
Like I said, it led right into what we were talking about before. I had no idea when we was putting these segments together what we was got. You have an 18% rise in beef, 14% rise in your medical costs, and there's no way you're receiving that increase in either Social Security and or your wages at work. There's no way.
You're not getting it. The one thing that caught me was when they were saying that they were going to take care of people that didn't have the Alzheimer's that was in the brain. You got that one part?
Right.
This when it's most important. They're more likely to cover the people that didn't have it, where it was least likely to cost them less money that was going to cost the person that they had to cover.
Preventative money, they're looking more of a preventative than an actual treatment. Whoop. See, Larry. There, you're back. Absolutely.
Okay. So I was like, what's the purpose of having the medicine, the person having the coverage, where you're not going to cover the people that are really being affected by Alzheimer's and just cover the people that are not really being affected by it? So we go back to the scam. They don't want to pay the money. They already know they got Alzheimer's, they can't fix them, so why give them the money? Why cover them? It's a ripoff.
That insurance is a hell of a business. Let's keep it real. They're doing all right.
Women walking, that's how it goes. It's like you spend your time in this country, and then you work hard, you build this country, you support the country, you pay your taxes. Then when you get old, you get thrown to the wayside, and it's sad.
That's what I see. And there are so many retirees on Social Security. That is their bread and butter.
Tim, you retired?
Yeah.
Talk about it. Talk to the people. I'm not retired yet.
I was very fortunate. Now, the way I retired, I had worked in the private sector, so I paid both Social Security and they also had retirement options where you could invest.
Right.
So I went that way, and I did that for. No, wait a minute. So I'm like, that's a good idea, and I'll invest in that. That makes a lot of sense to me. And then what happened is that corporation ended up getting bought out, and we ended up getting pink slipped. But I had enough tenure that it didn't matter because I still had my retirement benefits coming out of that. And then I jumped into working with the state of Ohio. Worked for the state of Ohio and had enough tenure that I got a retirement.
Okay.
So basically, I'm working off of 2 retirements and just a little squeaky piece of Social Security. They call it windfall reduction. Windfall reduction. That means if you're receiving other retirement benefits, what they do is they subtract that to what you would normally get if you weren't getting that.
Well, on the full, okay. Oh, okay.
So yeah, I get nickel and dimed by from the Social Security that I paid in all those years.
How does it affect your insurance wise? Because you're coming back from.
I'm 65.
Right.
I'm on Medicare and Medicaid.
So you actually just made some great decisions prior to you getting older.
Right. And I've instilled those decisions in my kids to do the same damn thing, is don't depend upon one thing because it might not be there.
Yeah, we got to talk.
You know, Social Security, is it going to last? Who knows? At
Well,
least when you go into, retirement funds, those are federally protected.
The IRAs, name some good ones. It's a Roth
So
IRA.
yeah, there's a Roth. Well,
Okay.
that's how you pay in. Pay
Yeah.
taxes now, pay taxes later. That's all how
Yeah.
you do that. And that's how much money you got. You need to talk to an investor that knows what the hell they're doing when it comes to that. However,
Basically, you want to invest in something that gives you dividends.
but you want to think into the future. And I mean, if you shortchange yourself now, so what? I mean, you're used to living how you're living. So if you get a job and you're making another 20,000, put 10 of it into the bank, into retirement.
Yeah. It's percentage wise, 10 to 15%. Then they say you maximize with 15%. The lowest you should go is 5. Then you build up to that.
It's easier said than done. And I mean, that goes so quickly. Yes. That goes so quickly, because you can have a major medical. That I had a major medical problem when it came to get cancer.
Yes.
So, I mean, there goes everything I ever had. So.
Yeah, you know what? I had a major, it wasn't a medical problem. I was whooping I had a criminal issue. It wasn't bad, but I decided to whoop ass with we don't get into that. But there goes my savings.
Oh, it's astronomical. I can pull down medical bills and probably total up $1 million.
Oh shit!
Oh, it's insane, absolutely insane when you start looking at all these tests and just to be what they charge just for a damn Band-Aid, and then
Band-Aid cost you $500.
Yeah, $500 for that Band-Aid. What? Because you just poke me so I could do my
God dang it, man! The government.
But yeah, they get you. They get you. Yeah, even though you are insured, it's still going to cost it. Yeah, don't get sick. So keep yourself healthy, along with what you try to promote all the time too, Larry. Is keep yourself freaking healthy.
I'm one of the healthiest guys you're gonna meet. But I got a pinched nerve, and then I just recover from pneumonia. And you can never ever just stay healthy. You can work out and train all you want, but at the end of the day, you're a human being. And if it's gonna happen, damn it, Tim, it's gonna happen. You can't do anything about cancer.
No.
You can't do anything about heart disease. You can do a little bit about that when it comes to exercising, but if it runs in your family, you really can't do anything about anything to inherit. So you really, it's tough, man. You just gotta just.
Yeah, it gets expensive. Yeah, chemotherapy is no joke, very expensive. Then they want to do all these different type of nuclear tests on you. It's ridiculous. So anyhow, hey, let's get into one other thing. We was talking about seniors and how much it costs. Let's get back to these seniors. And one other thing that's dispelling, besides, the meat costs and the cost of medical, is, seniors are hit all the way around.
I can see you.
Jan Stewart loved teaching elementary school. She did it for 31 years in Ohio, paying into a pension that whole time for when she retired.
We didn't get raises during some of the higher inflationary times in the 80s and 90s, but we were always told, but you're going to have a really great retirement.
How much is your pension monthly?
I net around $3,800 a month.
And that has not gone up in almost 5 years now?
The last raise I got was in 2016.
Stewart's budget hasn't really changed over the years, but what she can afford has changed. Why? Inflation. The cost of living creeps up steadily every year. It always does, a little bit, with food, bills, and transportation usually getting anywhere from 1% to 3% more expensive. But this year, so far, the inflation rate has jumped above 6%, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. If it stays that way longer term, like another 5 years, a person living on $40,000 a year would need to make $51,000 just to keep up. For Stewart, this is not theoretical math.
I keep a budget of everything that I spend all the time, so I always know, well, this is how much I have left, this is how much I have left, and it's just how it's worked for me. And like I said, I had it all planned out, and through no fault of my own, I'm in this position today that is unfair,
And with her budget margins so razor thin, it means any unexpected extra expense, like the upcoming tax assessment on her house, could mean major moves.
It's very likely that I will then have to make the decision to move out of this neighborhood that I've lived in for 34 years.
Stewart's not alone. Millions of retirees live on fixed incomes, many relying on pensions too. But pension experts say not all of those funds have enough money to pay out cost of living raises every year.
Most public pension plans are underfunded. Public pension funding levels and costs are influenced by multiple factors. Investment performance is a significant factor.
Experts point out the market's doing well right now, the unemployment rate's down, and bank accounts bigger on average than they were a couple years ago. But nearly 70% of people overall feel like the economy's getting worse, with inflation looming large. NBC News senior business correspondent Stephanie Rule explains the factors at play here.
The way businesses keep supplies and prices somewhat steady is about planning and consistency, and nothing has been consistent throughout the pandemic. The way we live, the way we work, the way we shop has changed dramatically. So until these adjustments can be made from businesses about how they plan their business going forward, we can expect shortages and these high prices, at least for the short term.
Social Security recently announced a nearly 6% hike in benefits checks because of those higher consumer prices. But federal law lets states exclude employees from Social Security coverage if they get a pension, people like Jan. Because of that, most public workers in 7 states, including Ohio, can't collect Social Security if they also get a pension.
I live in a non-Social Security state. So first of all, I'll say I'm not going to ever collect any Social Security from my former spouse. So that's not part of my scenario. So I rely solely on my pension.
For Stewart, it's not the psychological impact of inflation. It's her actual purchasing power. And these days, keeping up with costs seems harder and harder to do.
Do you think you would be in a different situation right now financially if you had been getting those cost of living adjustments?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Oh, I would be I would not be having any financial concerns today.
None.
None.
Well, see, that's the same thing I was talking about. She's from Ohio, and she gets hit with that too, that windfall reduction. Because I worked in the state of Ohio, and that's where my pension is from, the state of Ohio. But the pension, they don't want to pay you. You know what they, you know, it works in correlation with the your Social Security, and so that's how you get screwed.
State and government.
I could live in another state and probably collect both.
Right.
Have worked. Yeah, my bad move was, I guess maybe you should think about where in the hell you're working at. Choose a better state to work at if you're getting different types of retirement, so you don't get screwed.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you. I took one class. It's called Contemporary Black Experience. But the professor, he was very, very smart and very knowledgeable, and he did everything by the numbers. 2 things he said when it comes to surviving and really making money. One thing you have to. Marriage is the key. Okay, when you have a significant other, whether you have, both of y'all have jobs where it's $20,000 a year or whether it's $60,000 a year, being married will help you maintain and make a lot of money and maintain a lifestyle. So marriage is very, 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 very important when it comes to people. One income alone is not enough anymore.
You're 100%. I mean, when you have combined income, that increases your buying power. And with the buying power, you can make better investments. And hopefully you don't make a piss poor investment.
And he told me, and I didn't realize that. And I'm like, because, a lot of people, they want to be single, this. It makes more sense if you can find a way to bring in an extra income or have a side hustle. That's the only way you're going to make it. Pensions these days, Tim, they're not like they used to be back in the day.
No. And like, as I said, you're not going to see these increases. And I think what she said that she got a 3% last year. And my God, that's not even a quarter. A quarter of what
3%. Yeah, think about that. She's not working and she's only getting 2 or 3%. It's different when you actually working. She's not working, so she actually paying a pension. They're actually just destroying pensions these days. And then, like you say, you got the thing with the windfall. the windmill thing.
Yeah, windfall reduction. You have it
windfall
right.
reduction. They are finding ways to take away from people who have invested. You have invested more in this country than I have to this point, and you deserve more. One day I'll be at your point. One day I'll be your age. I'm gonna deserve more because I'm gonna work just as hard as you have, and I have worked just as hard as you have.
I believe that to be true, and I look at the same thing with with that educator.
Educated, especially, now I ain't gonna say especially her, because what you did was important too. What I do is important. You gotta put your stuff in. But at the end of the day, the country, the state, local government have to take care of the educators, they have to take care of the security people, they have to take care of the people who actually put the time and energy in to make their how can I say it, the country, their state, their city, and everything a better place. Even police officers. You know what I'm saying? You gotta just put money into people that actually make life everything comfortable in America. This is the greatest country in the world, man.
There's times when I get upset with the management of money. You know, on the federal level, the state level, the local level, and I've seen some little blurb that popped up, and I've seen on that. You know, Ted Cruz is like wanting to pay himself back for some of his campaign expenses from the 2020.
Yeah, you don't like Ted Cruz. I bet if Ted Cruz walked in front of you, you probably swing on him, wouldn't you?
I'm like, man, I cannot believe this guy. I'm like, look how much money you make, and now look at the position you're in, and you're in a position of influence.
Tim,
and the only thing you're really freaking worried about is recovering some of the money you spent to get there. And you're going to take it from the taxpayers. That's where the money's freaking coming from.
Yeah. I'm going to say what you probably can't say and what you want to say. He is a Hispanic American, okay? They came to the country. His parents or whoever brought him here, he is actually using the country, using Texas to get up, to get an advantage, to take advantage of people, and he don't care. He's a sellout.
He's
Ted
a racist.
Cruz is a sellout.
And he's a racist.
Sellout. And he's a Republican on top of that. He's a racist Republican sellout. Because if you're a Republican and you know what Republicans stand for, especially in the state of Texas, when it comes to the racism, you're a sellout, he's a sellout. And with him being Hispanic, he should be down with the civil rights movement because they were part of that with the Asians and everybody back in the 60s and 70s that built this whole country. I said it to him.
Yeah, but don't you think that he tries to pull himself off as a white American?
Yeah, I was just going to say that he don't know.
He's got an identity crisis because you would not know he was Hispanic. He portrays himself as a white American.
Black people do it too. Black people do it too. Black people do it too. Irish people do it too. Asian people do it too. Everybody does it. They get to a position where they can make some money. They can do more for their families, but at the sacrifice at everyone else. He sold his soul. He has literally sold his soul. And it happens though, man. I haven't done it. I would never do it. You haven't done it. You would never do it. Sylvia hasn't done it. She would never do it. But I don't know if my daughter would do it. My wife won't do it. But it happens, man. And he's a piece of crap.
You would hope that you wouldn't, to be a influencer, that you wouldn't sell yourself down the road like that.
Nah, I wouldn't do it, bro. I'm too real. I'm a brother. I love white people. I love black people. I love Hispanic people, Asian people. But at the end of the day, I call it the way I see it. If you full of shit and you selling out, for one thing, Tim, I'm gonna put it like this, Tim. Whatever your nationality is, you support your nationality and ethnicity. You got to take care of your people and your race. Race pride. Okay, be proud of who you are and where you're from,
right,
and your ancestors. And then you bring in everybody else and add to what you have when it comes to different ethnicities and nationalities.
Think
you don't
about
say,
that.
I'm Irish.
You're right. Do they not have German fests, Hungarian festivals? You know.
Yes. Everybody brings something to the table, man.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, celebrate your heritage. That is something that's, you don't want to lose because that's what makes America interesting.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a black man, and I love being a black man. I love all the controversies and the setbacks that come with it. It makes me stronger, but I still love you. I still love any other German, Caucasian, because it's all the same. Because if you tie it all together, You know what I'm trying to say, Tim?
I know what you're trying to say, man. I
Yeah,
got
but
you.
if you find out that white people, like it's white people, I didn't want to say white people, but at the end of the day,
white people.
It's all love. But I'm a black man. I love black folks. I feel bad the way they get treated, and I'm gonna stand behind that till the day I die. And if you can't stand behind inequality or anything like that, then I can't support you and I can't be cool with you. But you know how we roll, Tim.
Right. I mean, I get upset when I see, and it doesn't matter if you're a Hispanic American, Asian American,
white
American,
Caucasian.
Black. I find it despairing when you see, people spit on the individual because they're Chinese. Go home virus spreader and that. Well, what the hell is that?
Man,
or not liking a person. I don't like you because you're black.
Man, inequality.
Like why? Why?
And
What did I ever do to you?
Yeah, this how I do.
Personally,
I take every man and woman as they come. If you like me, I like you. That's how I look at it. Now, if you got some hidden agenda where you like me just because I'm Larry, but you don't like other black people or whatever, I'm like, well, you can't do that because you just got to just not like them because of their content, their character. Don't like them because they're black. Like them because they full of shit. Because at the end of the day, Tim, every race of people is full of shit. Every race of people is racist. It just ain't white people that are racist. Blacks, Asians, everybody is like that. But you just gotta just find who likes you and who you like, and then roll with them.
It's all lack of education and lack of appreciation for one another.
Man, I'm telling you, if people just be smart enough to say, I'm gonna give him a chance, I'm gonna give her a chance. Him and her, human race. But they don't do that. They got all this governmental stuff and they trying to screw the older people. Oh, Rena. Okay.
Hey, man.
I don't want to preach too much. I'm going to go Martin Luther King.
I'll tell you what I want you to preach on. I want you to preach on what you do at the end of all of our shows, and that's getting their ass healthy.
All right, check this out. This is my tip for the week. COVID is strong now, and the flu is strong. And the best thing you can do at this time is to exercise. If you can get in about 3 days out the week, 30 minutes to an hour, and maybe look into taking some vitamins, one a day or anything like that. Look into taking some vitamins that can strengthen your immune system, do that. But you want to make sure that you keep your immune system strong and healthy by exercising and maybe looking into taking some kind of multivitamin. You never fail with that. And real quick, please, people, if you get a personal trainer and that personal trainer is not assisting you in working your most important, strongest muscle in your body is your heart by doing some kind of aerobic exercise, find another trainer. Because at the end of the day, like I say, my wife, she works in the medical field. She sees a lot of bodybuilders, a lot of people in the hospital that lift weights every day that don't do any cardio. Do cardio. You can find me on Facebook at LRE Fitness, LinkedIn at Larry Estelle Jr., and let's get fit, America. Let's get fit. It's on you, Tim.
Preach, preach, preach. Hey, man, absolutely. And you admit how, can I ask you real quick, and maybe you can answer this in just one quick. You said that exercise helps strengthen your immune system. What exactly is it doing?
Well, when you exercise, it get rid of the endorphins. There's a lot of negative energy in your body and it just releases hormones that kind of like just attacks your immune system and holds your immune system down. You want to get rid of those endorphins. And if you exercise, you'll feel the difference compared to just going on a daily basis by doing nothing. I'm like, even 30 minutes a day, you'll feel a release. It's called endorphins. You'll feel the release of those endorphins. You'll feel it. It goes out your body. It's like a negative energy, and it just relaxes you. It calms you down. I'm like, whether you smoke weed or whatever, even if you smoke weed, you still need to exercise.
Well, I don't know what just happened to your voice.
Yeah, I support weed, but if you smoke weed, you still got to exercise. Exercise is the most important thing that you do. Period. I don't care what you do in your life. Exercising is more important than anything. I don't know about sex. Sex is pretty good though.
I think sex is the best exercise.
Yeah. It's hard to top sex because
You
of
know?
orgasm.
Yep.
Next best thing to an orgasm is a great workout.
That's right. That's right. We should all take a trip downtown and exercise once in a while.
Once in a while, Tim. Exercise more than once in a while.
Okay,
Smoke
daily.
weed. He said exercise once in a while. No.
Okay, daily.
Yeah, daily.
Yeah, some people would like to really hear that. Anyhow, man, let's cut the hell out of here. You said how you can be followed. You can follow me, Tim McGiffin, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. The easy way is to get on our main website is www.thequeensilvershow.com, and you can catch up with all our videos, everything that's happening, as well as we are on YouTube. And you can catch up on all of Larry and I's old conversations. Not old, they're very intellectual and informative conversations that helpfully enlighten and make your day and week better. I am so full of shit.
Better you than me.
Hey, anyhow, hey, man, I appreciate the conversation, Larry. So, everybody, we appreciate you viewing. Hey, real quickly, I was going to shout out some analytics from our last week's shows. In the United States, the Russian Federation, the United Kingdom, Canada, Venezuela, Mexico, India, Brazil, Africa, and Peru. Thank you all for tuning into our show. We appreciate it.
Oh, we're growing up.
We're growing up like dogs. We're the dog of the airwaves. Anyhow, people, so until next week,